A very good morning, my dear students. I hope you all are doing good. And in today's class, we are going to do the topic of tenses. So I know this is a very complicated topic and a lot of students will do mistake in this topic, especially when you're writing something in past tense. Gets very confusing. So the topic that you are going to do is past tense. Okay, so before we begin, just look at your watch. What does it tell you? It tells you time. Similarly, the purpose of the tenses is to tell you time. Tense will always tell you time, and time can be of three types. You may get surprised here that time is also having types. But yes, there are three types of times. Let me tell you. The first type of time is which talks about something which has already happened, which has happened in past. So we call it past tense. Now the other type of tense is what is happening currently. So the second type is present tense, and the third one is your future, which is unknown and unseen. So yes, like this we have three types of time zones. One is your past, the other one is your present, and the third one is the future tense. So do not forget that there are three types of tenses. Now that you're aware what are tenses, let us move on to another important word, which is verbs. Now a lot of people get confused between verbs and tenses, because the thing is there is a relationship between verb and tenses. Verbs tell you the tense. Verbs are used to design a sentence in a certain way that if you look at the verb, if you look at the structure of that sentence, you'll be able to know the tense. Basically, in simple terms, verb refers to action. Mostly it refers to action, but to go in detail, if we go in detail, verbs, they have three major functions. One is to talk about some kind of action which is taking place, and then the verb talks about belongingness. What belongs to what person? Possession. And thirdly, it talks about state of being. In what kind of state something is. So these are the three functions of verb in English language: to talk about actions, belongings, and state of being. Now these things can be in present. These actions can be happening in present, maybe in future or in past. It can happen in any of these three tenses. So that is why verb is very important when you're talking about tenses. It will help you to tell the tense in a correct way. So let's understand it a bit more. See, this is a table which will tell you the relationship between the tenses and verbs. These terms are often used interchangeably. Why? Because they are confusing. People think that verb and tense are the same thing, but no. Verb is something that is used to denote the kind of time. Whatever type of time we are trying to talk about, it will be shown using the verb in the sentence. So see, I have already told you that there are three types of tenses: past tense, present tense, and future tense, that you already know. Now the actions which are already happened in the past are the verbs of past tense. For example, if I say I walked, I ate, or I cooked, all these actions, the actions in the past tense, the verb which we will use will denote the actions which must have happened in the past. The verb of a past tense will help us to talk about past tense as that action must have happened in the past. Like the action of cooking, if it is already happened in the past, we'll say cooked. If I've already walked, I'll say walked. Ate. All these are V2. That is the second form of verb. Yes. Now same for present tense. If the action is happening right now, currently, in the moment it is happening, then it is present tense. And if the action will happen in coming future, then it is future tense. See, all the actions have been kept in the box of verb because these actions are verb. The verb denote actions only. And using those correct verbs, we can correctly form a sentence which will talk about either past tense or present or future. Now that you know what are tenses, what are verbs, and what is the relationship between tenses and verbs, let's see the three types of tenses, three types of tenses, which are past tense, present tense, and future tense. We already know, and I have told you that we are going to focus on the past tense in this video. See, I cannot start with the past tense immediately. Why? Because some background knowledge is very important before you begin with any kind of tense. You must know that how many types of tenses are there. We just can't take up past tense without knowing that there are other tenses also, what exactly tenses means, and especially the topic of verb we can never ignore whenever we are talking about tenses. The topic of verb cannot be ignored at all whenever we're talking about the tense. See, now let's take past tense. So what exactly is past tense? Past tense is everything that have already happened, everything that has already happened before the present moment is your past. For example, before watching this video, you were doing something, some other work you were doing. Maybe you were eating your breakfast, or you were doing any kind of thing, you were reading a book. All those actions are now gone, they have already been performed, so they are in past, they are past tense. And everything that is going to happen is your future, and whatever is happening right now, that is, you're watching this video, is your present tense. Now, things that have already happened, we know that they are past tense. For example, if you look at this girl, you can see that she's sleeping, and currently she is in the present tense. She is saying that I am combing my hair. So presently she is combing her hair, but we can see that she also woke up. That is in her past. The action of waking up, it's in her past, and that is why we are using the verb of past, that is woke. The past tense of wake is woke. That is why we are using the verb of past tense. And you can see that in the past this girl woke up at 6 o'clock, and in the present she is combing her hair. So this is the past tense. One more example, let's take. Look at this boy. He's saying that I ate my breakfast. Now in present, I'm taking my dog out for a walk. So he ate his breakfast. That is V2, the second form of verb, past tense, because he is trying to talk about an action which has already happened in the past. So whenever you are trying to talk about something that has already happened and is not happening currently in the present, then you will use the verb of the past tense. But there are some rules. If the sentence is affirmative, if it's a simple sentence, it's not a negative sentence or sentence that is asking a question, then only we use the verb of past. And you will find past tense a bit tricky because there are a lot of verbs of past tense, but you won't be able to use it often because whenever you're forming a negative sentence, you're using did not, or you're forming a question with did, you will not use the verb of past tense. So mostly you will use the verb of present tense. That we'll learn in the end of the class, but before that you should know what exactly is past and present. You should know the difference. Now, one more important thing is to know that first I told you that tenses are of three types: past, present, and the future. These three. And now we are going to expand our knowledge and we'll come to know that now past tense is also of various types. This past tense is also of 4 different types. Let's see. The first type is simple past tense. The second is past perfect. Third is the past continuous, and then there is past perfect continuous. These are the 4 forms of past tense. And to your surprise, you should know that even there are 4 types of present tense and 4 types of future tense also. All of these tenses are also divided into 4 subcategories, and one by one you will learn each type of the tense. But currently in today's class we are going to discuss only simple past tense. We are going to discuss only simple past tense. The reason being that this is the most simple and the basic type of the past tense, and whenever you are beginning with past tense, we should start with simple type of the past tense. So this was some extra additional information, the introductory information for you all. All these definitions of tenses, verbs, and then the relationship between tense and verb, and then what exactly is past tense, what are the various types of past tense. These are the some extra information that you should have with you while you are studying simple past tense or any kind of tense. You must know these things. These are very basic. Whether you are doing present tense, future, or past tense, you must know what exactly are tenses, what exactly are verbs, and what is the difference, then the relationship between them. And you should also you should also always learn that table of V1, V2, and V3 because it will come handy, like go, went, gone. These sort of verbs are often given in the books, and you must learn them, because if you don't know the past tense of a word or the present tense of a verb, you will not be able to make a correct sentence. So I am assuming that you already know these V1, V2, at least the V1 and V2s that is the present tense and the past tense. Basically, present tense is the normal word. Like if cook is a normal word, no changes have been done to this word. So the past tense of cook will be cooked. Similarly, walk will become walked. Eat will become ate. So these are V1 and V2s. I'll be using V1 and V2 again and again in this video. So it's better that you know what is V1 and what exactly is V2. I'll show table also so that it's clearer to you. Fine. So simple past tense. We are starting with simple past tense, as I've already told you. Fine. 3 forms of verb are there, as we were just discussing: V1, V2, and V3. V1 is also known as the root form or the base form of the verb, and no other secondary name is given to V2 or V3, but yes, V1 is often called a root form or base form or the first form of verb. A lot of different names are used for V1, but I'll be using V1 here in this video, or the first form of the verb, that is the present tense. Okay, it is used for telling the present time or the present tense. The V2, that is the past tense, it is used to tell the past tense, and the V3 form is used to talk about the past participle tense. And as we already know that we are only going to deal with past tense today, so the two kind of verbs that we should know are V1 and V2s. V1 and V2s are important for us, especially the V2s. The past tense of the verb is very important. Now, here I am showing you a table. Basically, it will make the concept of V1, V2 clearer to you. In this first column, all these words which are given, they are the original words. No change has been done to it, and they are called the present tense or the first form of the verb. And the second column, it shows you the past tense, all the verbs which denote the past tense, and the third is the past participle, and I have marked a cross over it because in this topic, in the topic of simple past tense, we are not going to use past participle. It is of no use here. Only present tense and past tense will be useful for us. So if you don't know these present tense and past tense, you must learn them, then only you will be able to make sentences in the past tense. For example, bend, bent, bring, brought, buy, bought. These two are very confusing. The past tense of bring is brought and the past tense of buy is bought. Burn, burned, catch, caught, cook, cooked, creep, crept, cry, cried. All these are regular verbs. Why are they called regular? Because the pattern that they follow are basically predictable, and that is why they are regular verb. We are not going deep into this topic. You just need to know that there are regular verbs and irregular verbs. Irregular verbs, they kind of don't follow any kind of pattern, and that is why they are a bit tricky. They can be a bit tricky, and you will have to remember all of it. And one more thing to notice about regular verb is usually V2 and V3 are same. In regular verb, V2 and V3 are same. Bend, bent, bent. Bring, brought, brought. Let's take this pick, picked and picked. The second form and the third form are same, so it becomes a bit easier to learn these, as you only have to learn 1 and 2, and the 3 will be like a free combo offer. Now, in the irregular verb, you'll see that the V1 is different and the V2 is different and the V3 is different, like break, broke, broken, choose, chose, chosen, do, did, done. And there are some verbs which do not change their form at all, like burst, 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 cut, 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 put, put, put. They are just same. They don't change their form. So these V1, V2s and V3s you must remember. And if you know this, let's begin with our topic, that is simple past tense. Fine. See, these are also V1, V2 and V3. It's nothing different is there. It's same as this table. Don't get confused. But the only thing is that these are the most used and most tricky. See, I've written some important verbs. They're very important whenever you're talking about past tense. They're very important and they're tricky. Why it's tricky? Because some of them are having different words for singular kind of noun and pronoun, and different past tense for singular noun and pronoun. So we'll see. Let's take B. B is a word which is rarely used in its V1 form. You will not find it in its V1 form. It's actually more popular in its V2 form. Past tense of be is was and were. Yes, it is a bit unpredictable that the past tense of be is was and were. How come this is possible? But yes, the present tense of was and were is be. Be. To be somewhere, it tells the state of something. It's a verb that talks about the state. Was and were are its past tense. We use these very regularly. Was and were are used all over the English language. It's everywhere, so it's very important that you know where to use was and where to use were. Was is used wherever there is a singular noun, a singular name of something, name of place, person, thing, anything, a singular noun, one person, one place, or one thing is being talked about, then you will say was. Or a pronoun. As you already know, there is not much difference between noun and pronoun, as a pronoun is something that replaces noun. So the function of noun and pronoun are almost same throughout the English language. So singular noun will take the form was, and the plural noun will take the form were. Even the plural pronouns like you, we, and they, you may say that you we can use for singular person also. If I say you sit down, I am referring to a one person, so it should be a singular pronoun. But no, if I say like if I say that you sit down to a crowd also, the entire crowd will take the order, because you is a kind of pronoun which is used for singular also, plural also. Okay. And if I have two students in front of me and I am telling them, I want you to write down these words in your book, I am referring to both of them. So for plural now pronoun also we use you, and for singular also we use you. To just and to simplify it, we are keeping it in the plural. The English language, it keeps it in the plural pronoun form along with we and they. So don't get confused here. You is also used for singular pronoun, but we keep it in the category of plural because it also refers to plural pronouns. Yes, to more than one person, people, person, place, or thing. Now that you know that was is used for all sort of singular nouns and pronouns, and were is used for all sort of plural nouns and pronoun, you can also see that the V3, that the past participle of be is been. Be and been, that makes sense. But was and were, it does not make sense because they are starting with be. See, and but was and were, they start with w, and it is not very common in English language. In verbs, it's not very common to find such verb forms which are changing its form like this. Yes. Then has and have. Has and have is something which is having two kind of forms in the present tense. Has is used with singular nouns and have is used with plural nouns or pronouns. Whenever I say noun, that rule will work with pronoun also because they are almost same. So has and have. Has we use for singular person, place, thing, or a pronoun, and have we use for plural, place, thing, or a person or a pronoun also. Now, no matter singular or plural, if you are talking in the past tense, if you're not talking in the present tense, you're talking in the past tense, no matter that person, place, or thing is singular or plural, you will write had. Had is the past tense. Now, past participle is also had. Now, do and does. Do is used with he, she, it, and does is used with I, you, we, they. So this is a bit different rule that you need to remember, that do is used with he, she, it, does is used with I, you, we, they. And the past tense of do and does, both of them have past tense did. No matter singular, plural, or no matter he, she, it, I, you, we, they, the past tense is did and the past participle is done. But as I am again and again telling you that we are only concerned with the present tense and past tense here in this topic, so we don't need to worry about past participle right now. Only the present tense and past tense we should know of all these verbs. Fine, let's practice a little bit, because we have talked a lot about verbs, and if we'll not practice, nothing, we're never going to understand the concept. So they all go is given in the bracket, and you have to use the correct form of the verb in the bracket and use the simple past tense to fill the blanks. They all dash shopping. So the simple past tense of go is went. I never dash I would see you here. So you will write imagined. We book will become booked. Collect will become he collected his children from school. Were you frightened will become frightened of the dark when you were young. See, we are writing these sentences in the past tense, and that is why we are changing the this verb form. Who ate my chocolate? I felt so tired that I went straight to the bed. We grew this tree from a seed. See, if you want to solve all these questions right now, you can pause the video and you can solve them. We are moving forward. This page also you can pause and you can solve the questions. Now, we'll learn how to make different types of sentences in simple past tense. This is the most important topic of simple past tense, that is to make sentences. See, the point of learning grammar is not to learn rules and just learn rules. We have to apply these rules in our real life, and then only we can speak the correct English. And that is why, after knowing all these things about past tense, about verbs of the past tense, what is important is that you're able to write a sentence in simple past tense. That is very important. So now, before I talk about the sentences in past tense, you must know a universal rule. A rule that is applicable to all kind of sentences, that is the rule of SVO. SVNO, subject, verb and object. S stands for subject, V stands for verb, and O stands for object. This is a rule to make a correct sentence, no matter what kind of sentence it is, be it imperative, declarative, or interrogative, exclamatory, any kind of sentence it is. You will mostly find this pattern in the sentence, that is, the subject will come before the verb and the object will come after the verb. Verb is the deciding factor here. Verb will come in between, because the action will come in between and someone is doing it, and that person is subject, and something is happening to some other thing, and that is the object. Subject is the person who does something, who is doing the action, who is responsible for the verb, and the object is something that is being affected due to that verb, that due to that action. Let me give you an example. If my verb is eat, fine, I'm eating something, and my subject can be, see, in English language, noun and pronoun can be subjects. Who can be subjects? Noun and pronoun. And object also, noun and pronoun can be. So these slots are booked for all the nouns and pronouns. Noun and pronouns can take this place. So let's take any noun, for example, Pia. Pia eats mango. If this is my sentence, Pia is doing the action of eating. Pia is doing the action of eating. And the action of eating is being done by Pia, so she is the subject. And this verb, the action of eating, is affecting something, and that is the fruit of mango. It is being affected due to eating. So whatever is being affected is the object, and the person who is doing something, doing that action, is your subject. If I say Rashi kicked a ball. She kicked a ball. So kicking is an action. It's a verb, it's an action, and the doer, the person who is doing that action, is Rashi. So she is the subject. And please notice that Rashi and ball both are nouns. And as I've told you, the place of subject and object can be taken by a noun or a pronoun. Yes. So Rashi kicked, and this action of kicking, it affected something. A ball got affected due to this action of kicking. So the ball is the object, and Rashi is the subject. So this is the basic form of a sentence. Subject will come first, then verb, and then the object. Let's see. Let's try to make a normal sentence in a past tense. When I'm saying normal sentence, what I'm saying is the affirmative type of sentence. Affirmative kind of sentence is a sentence which is not saying anything negative, and it is also not asking any kind of question or showing any surprise. So this sentence is a general kind of sentence we use in our daily life, and it will follow that basic rule of subject, verb, and object. See, subject, then verb, then object. But because we are talking in the past tense, what is important here is what kind of verb will be used. So the verb will be in the past tense, that is V2. We'll use V2. The verb of past tense will be used. So this is a very simple rule for a simple sentence in a simple past tense. That is the rule of SVO, that is the subject, verb, and object. And you only have to pay attention to the what kind of verb will be used in what kind of tense. So in simple past tense, affirmative sentence will be formed using V2. Now, this place of subject and object can be taken by a noun and pronoun. I have already written that subject and object are something that only noun can become. Let's take any subject. For example, Ram. Let's take a V2, a verb in past tense. Walked to his home. So home is the object, walked is the verb, and Ram is the subject. Ram walked to his home, towards his home. Now, let's see some examples of normal sentences in past tense. I played hockey with my friends yesterday. Here, played is the verb which is highlighted because it has been used in the past tense. Subject is I, and I played what? Hockey. So it's the object. Similarly, you can see other sentences also, like we felt happy looking at the setting sun. You performed gracefully in the annual day event. He made tea for all of us. She rang the bell. It wagged its tail on seeing its owner. They wanted to eat more chocolates. All these sentences are neither negative nor they're not asking a question. They're basically a normal sentence, affirmative sentence. They're positive in their sense. So they will use the verb of the past tense, and from on its left side will have subject, and on its right side will have an object. Okay, now let's come to the rule number 2, that is of negative sentence. See, be it any kind of sentence, subject, verb, and object are going to be there no matter what. So subject is there, verb is there, object is there, but in between, because it is a negative sentence, we are going to add some negative words like did not or could not. There is a slash between did not or could not. Why? Because according to the sense of the sentence, we are going to use did or could, did not or could not. Let's see where did not will be used and where could not will be used. So we will use did not for the actions which you never wanted to do. You never planned to do those things and you're not regretting not doing it. For example, I did not go to school yesterday. It means that you were never planning to wake up in the first place. You never wanted to go to the school. It's not that something happened and then you were unable to go to school. No, you never wanted to go to school. So you will say, I did not go to school. But what if your plan was to go, you wanted to go to the school, but you missed your school bus? Then you will say, I could not go to school today. Could not, because you wanted to do something, but you were unable to do it. Right? So you will say could not. So you can make any negative sentence. Let's again take the example of Ram. Ram is our subject. Ram did not. Let's take a verb in present tense. Do. Ram did not do his homework. Or you can say Ram did not eat his food. See, now this is the tricky part. You may find the rule very easy, but you will not notice that we are using the V1 here. It's not V2. Even though we are writing in the past tense, we are not using the verb of past tense here. Why? Because a simple thing that you should remember, you will never find this thing written anywhere. So you should remember this thing, that wherever there's did in a sentence, you will also find it in interrogative sentence. Right now in negative sentence, we are finding did. Any kind of did, be did not or simply did. If did is there, you don't need to write the verb in the past tense, because did is enough to tell the tense. Did is enough to tell the tense. It's already telling you the time. As a verb, it is telling you the time already. You don't need to use another verb in the past tense in order to make the sentence in the past tense. No, it will be a wrong sentence. Once you have already made it clear that your sentence is in past tense by using did, only in the case of did we do this. You have already made clear that your sentence is in past tense. You don't need to use verb of past tense. You will not write ate. No, it is wrong. V1 will be used, that is eat. The original word or the base form of the verb will be used. Fine. So this is a simple rule that you should learn for your entire life, is that whenever there's did in a sentence, whenever you are saying did in a sentence, never use the past tense of the next verb. It's that simple. Now let's see the interrogative. No, let's see examples of the negative sentence first. I did not blow the whistle. We could not participate in the debate competition. So it is showing the sadness. It is showing the inability of a person to participate, because he wanted to participate, but something may have happened and they were not able to participate. That is why the person is writing could not. But I did not blow the whistle, someone is writing, it means that the person did not do it and he was never planning to do it. You did not work very hard for the test. He did not miss the bus. She did not kick the ball hard. It did not vanish from the sight. They did not take an umbrella with them. So these are some examples of negative sentences in which did not or could not will be used. And yes. Rule number 3, let's see. So this is a rule for making question. Whenever you want to ask a question in past tense, see, whenever you're talking in past tense, you are talking to a person, you will use negative sentences also. Sometimes you'll use some questions, sometimes you will use affirmative sentences. So you need to know these rules and you need to learn them, and then only you will be able to you will be able to communicate with the person easily in past tense. Whenever you are talking about a past incident, you'll be able to ask a question correctly. You'll be able to make a negative sentence correctly. So now we'll learn how to ask a question in past tense. If you want to ask a question in past tense, first thing that you'll pick is your question word. What are the question words? The 4 W's and the H. W's and the H, like what, why, when, where, and how. So these are the W's. So let's choose any W. What, and then you will add did. What did? It is fixed. It will come with the question word. What did? Let's take the subject Ram. What did Ram? Let's take a V1. Eat. And what did Ram eat in dinner? And a question mark is also mandatory because it's a question. Question mark is there to ask a question only. So we'll use it at the end of a question. So this will become your question. What did Ram eat in dinner? You will not write ate here. Why? Because it is wrong. Even though you are talking in past tense, you have already used did. A verb in past tense you've already used. So you will not use the second form of the verb here. Fine. Let's move on. Let's see some examples. Who did you meet yesterday? When did he leave for the railway station? Are you able to see that whenever we are using did, in all these sentences, all these questions, we are using did, and then we are using V1. Not the second form of the verb. Only V1 we are using. Fine. Now there are some exceptions also. For a question beginning with who, sometimes, not always, sometimes we do not use did. We drop it, and instead of did we use the past form of the verb. Who made this delicious cake? See, whenever you drop did from a sentence, then you'll have to use the verb in the past tense because no other verb is telling you whether you are writing in the present or past. But whenever there is did is enough to tell that the sentence is in past, so you don't need to use the verb of the past tense also. Who made this delicious cake? Who wanted to go to the mall? So this is one exception. Similarly, we sometimes use just the past tense form of the verb for a question beginning with how many. If a question is beginning with how many, you cannot write how many did she eat. Sometime you may ask, but you will see that this is a case where you can use how many students went for the picnic, how many cherries fell from the tree. So again the past form of the verb is being used because no did is there. No did is there, and whenever did is absent, you will add a verb in the past tense. And whenever yes, wait a second. Wherever this did is present, you will use the verb in the present tense. Now, see children, let's make a yes-no question in the past tense. Just ignore this part. I just forgot to remove this part. Yes. So let's make a question in yes-no format. It's simple. It's same as making a question. It is also a question, but whenever you are asking for yes and no, you will drop these question words. These question words were there in in the interrogative kind of sentences, question words were there. But when you want to interrogate in only yes or no form, you just want yes or no as your answer, then you will drop these words, because these are asking for a reply that is not brief like yes or no. They're asking for a describing kind of answer. If you are asking what, the person will have to use a sentence at least to give your answer. Similarly for why, when, where, how, you're asking for reasons, and then the person will use a sentence. But because you want only yes and no answer, then you will drop this, you will remove the question word, and you will start your question from did. In the interrogative, we were having the question word here, but we have dropped it and we are starting our question with did. Did the subject do something, verb in the first form. So let's make a question. Did, let's take the subject to be you. This time we are taking a pronoun, not a noun. Earlier we were taking the example of ram, which was a noun. Now we're taking example of you. You is also a pronoun. You is a pronoun. Did you, let's take V1, eat. Did you eat your food? And a question mark. Did you eat your food? So this is a question to which you can reply in yes or no. Yes, I ate my food, or no, I did not eat my food. Do you see how I replied? Yes, I ate my food. And in the other sentence I said no, I did not eat my food. So this, I just thought to tell you that look, when I am positive, I'm not using any negative word like did not, then I'm using the verb in the past tense. And when I'm saying no, I'm trying to give a negative sense, I'm using a negative word, then we are using a verb in present tense. Did is already there in this sentence, it's present here, so we will use the present tense. Fine. So to this question you can answer, you can give answer in yes and no. So such kind of questions can be formed by just starting your question with did. It will be formed. Fine. So let's see some examples of these yes and no sentences in past tense. Did I do the task correctly? Did we get the principal's approval? Did you score well in the test? Did you drop the catch? So you see all these verbs are in the present tense, right? And if I remove did, if it is not a question, if it's just a normal positive sentence, then you will say I did the task correctly. We got the principal's approval. You scored well in the test. He dropped the catch. So these are some rule and you must learn them so that you can quickly switch in your mind from a positive sentence to a negative sentence, because you will know that whenever you are speaking and you have already spoken did, because did will come before the verb most of the time, not just most of the time, always did will come before the verb. So just keep that in your mind that while you're speaking and did is already come, then you have to use the next verb that you're going to use is going to be in the present tense. What did I do? Did I eat? No, I did not eat. Yes, I did eat. Yes, I ate my food. Okay, like this. When you're talking, you're not using did, you can use the past verb, and you're using did, you will drop the verb of the past tense and you'll come to the present tense, like that. Now we can practice some questions. If you want to practice, you can pause the screen and you can solve these questions. Let me do one for you. The girls played in the room. You have to convert the sentence into negative sentence or simple past tense. So wherever there is a negative, you have to add did not. You have to change the V2 into V1. That's it. That's it you have to do. So if you are beginner, you are beginning with it and you are practicing question, what you will do is you will underline the negative, that you have to change this sentence into negative, and you will write that the first thing I'll do is I'll add did not, and then I'll change the V2 into V1. This is like your checklist, and you can come back to this to check whether you have done both of these things and form the correct sentence. So let's take the sentence. The girls played in the room. The girls played in the room, and the answer will be the girls. Okay, what will come after subject? Did not. The girls did not. You will change the V2 into V1. Play. Did not play in the room. And that's the correct sentence, a correct negative sentence in past tense. It's correct. Okay, now if you ever get confused where you have to place did not, you have already learned the rule that first the subject will come, then did not will come, and then the object will come. So it's simple. Sorry, the verb will come and then the object will come. So did not is here, and we have subject here, then we have a verb here, and then we have the object. SVO is there, but did not will come in between. Fine. Pia wrote her book. Pia wrote her book. Convert the sentence into interrogative sentence. Now you will underline interrogative. You will say that I have to add a questioning word. If you want to make a yes or no question, just drop the question word also, and you will start the question with did, and then you will change the V2 into V1, and then you will add a question mark in the end. So 3 changes you will make, and yeah, your interrogative sentence is ready. So let's do that. Let's add did in the beginning. Did Pia. Wrote is given, V2. Let's convert it into V1. Okay, write. Did Pia write her book? And a question mark. It's done. Children, it's done. You have made a sentence in past tense. It's that simple. Okay. Now, these are some examples where you have to change the tense. So that also you can do. Now, this is also an exercise which you can do. Now let's do this one. Make negative sentence in simple past tense. I dash the lid of the jar. These things are given, and using this you have to make a sentence in the past which is negative. So it's negative, so cannot is given. You will write I could not. What should we do with open? Open is verb. We can write opened also. But what shall we write? Open or opened? V1 or V2? See, could not and did not are same thing. So you can consider that a verb of past tense has already been used. So you will write open. I could not open the lid of the jar. Similarly, it. Okay, what you're going to write? Did not. It did not rain a lot. You will not change the tense of rain. You will not write rained. Why? Because did not is already there to talk about the past. So I hope you have already understood. You have understood the concept of simple past tense. And if you have, just practice more questions so that you can understand the topic very, very well. And yeah, just practice, and then only you will be able to talk fluently in the past tense. If you have to talk fluently in the past tense, you must know when to switch your tenses. If there is a did in the sentence, you will immediately you'll immediately become alert that you have to use the next verb in the present tense. And That's all for today's class. And yes, happy learning and bye bye.